Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will. But if you still have some questions you need answered about your homework, you've come to the right place. It's Office Hours, your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined tonight, as always, by Paul Reisman.
Mike Rance.
No, you're Paul. You're not Mike. But we are joined by a new face today. Red Mage Gaming, welcome to the show. Red Mage is one of our members.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you be here. So this is something we've been considering trying out, having members come on as part of the discussion for Office Hours. So if that's something you're interested in and you're not already a member, consider clicking that join button down below. You've seen people spamming all the emotes, including Kiki, which is clearly the best emote. But if you want to get access to those, you can go ahead and consider joining to support the channel, as well as just clicking on all the links down below, like Odyssey Games and CCG Prime, who, by the way, is sponsoring a giveaway tonight of a Judge Hanzo promo that we'll be giving away at the end of tonight's episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into tonight's topic. We have now had a week and a few days or so of like cards in hand, New Frontiers playing experience. And to that end, it brought up this idea that I was seeing a lot in the Forcible community talking about, is two rulers just going to purely blow away and break the game? Is there any way to go back to being one ruler after this? Like what do we have, right? And so I think it's about, I want to have this conversation talking about our experiences or what our thoughts are about how these twin ruler systems have implicated or have impacted the system, as well as our thoughts on whether or not this is just how it has to be now, or if single rulers can still compete, or what we might kind of expect to see. I can honestly say that we probably won't see tag next set, considering how we have only 5 new rulers and they're all very different people. But we can have this kind of discussion. So I'll open it up to either one of you guys to start us off.
Guess first.
Red? Yeah. Red Mage, you want to give us your thoughts?
I mean, I'm actually, the biggest thing I'm hyped for is just seeing the other Six Sages come forward as rulers, besides just getting Feasting and then Zero. It's like we're now getting the rest of them, and they're really unique and flavorful in their own ways. But I think the tag mechanic itself, I don't think it's overblown. Like, if we look at it just from cluster as it is now, like, we don't have access to all of the dual stones right away, and we don't know if they're going to reprint them again in the next set, and if they do, whether they're going to do the basic dual stones or if we're going to get Vingolf 3 style or Shock Rock style like we had with Legacy Lost and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I think that'll scale things down a little bit so it isn't as insane as it is right now.
Real quick to answer a question in the chat. Any counters? Is this game still going on? Because no one in I'm assuming you're saying SoCal plays it. I will say that Imperial Games in California, which I believe is mid to southern California, has a really active scene. So check them out, Imperial Games. You can just look them up on Facebook. They have a very active scene with lots of players who have traveled to many events that I have been at. And have in fact financially supported the channel. So that's a place for you to go. Just wanted to point that out there before we got into the next point.
Do I still sound quiet?
I turned you up. You were turned down on my Discord. You're fine.
Oh, okay, we're good. Okay.
Oh, by the way, can we get some Kikis in the chat for Paul finally having a headset so we don't get Paul echoes? Kikis in the chat for Paul. Echoes. Yeah, Kikis in the chat for Paul. Here we go. I'm going to spam a bunch myself.
Gosh.
There we go.
Hello. Finally got that headset.
Yeah, there we go. So
there we go.
Yeah, I would agree with you that like one of my favorite parts about this set is certainly the flavor. Like all of these Six Sages are so different in feel, right? And like there's so many different ways that even you can use even the same rulers, right? Like I think my list, I joked about early last week, I think it was Friday. I played a bunch of different games, webcam games with members, and like I played against 3 different my list builds and got my teeth kicked in. Gladly, because I was playing like chill stuff and just trying to figure out how Crucible Less Defeasing would work, like what I wanted to do there. But like one of them was playing this very, very clearly a my list burn with like mood start to like help draw into the burn package and like be able to tap efficiently, and then just like pinging me for 2 constantly with my list. One of them was a zero my list build, which was just like raw burst aggro face, and that felt so different because it was playing such a different set of cards. Like another one was like a my list like kind of pop off where it was like trying to really abuse that extra will coin that my list gives you right at the beginning with like feasting and some other stuff, and like those are all 3 very different ways to play my list, which is awesome. You know, it's been a bit since we've seen that kind of stuff, and that to me has been the most exciting part of this set.
Yeah, I gotta say, if you watched Foul Wednesday last week, I played Wolfgang because I was like, I just want to start off this set a little easier and play the only singleton ruler. And even there was like, how do I play this ruler? I can't even imagine what it was like putting 2 rulers together, Jeremy. And
oh god,
what do I do with this? And then he handed me his deck, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, there's even this moment as I fix my cameras, like there's even these moments of like, which ruler do I call stone with? Like,
yeah, never had to think about that before. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah. And so Paul's gonna get his first taste of that this Wednesday when we play If I Feel Well. I'm getting my second COVID vaccine shot on Wednesday, so Foul Wednesday might be canceled based on possible side effects. We'll see. Or I might do it as like a live stream playing with members online or something like that. Me with like a bundled up and like not feeling well. But this idea of like the number of decision trees that have now been added to like the very first action you take in the game has been, it's crazy to think about how much that's impacted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm really interested in. Oh, go ahead, Red Mage. You're good.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with him. It's like there's just the sheer number of decisions you can make in like on just your first turn, or even just the first thing you're looking at when you're just deciding what to build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm really interested in like how the chat has been building these decks, and I'm about to sit down probably tomorrow evening to build our deck for Foul Wednesday, and I'm trying to think of like, how do you go in on this? And part of me is thinking you identify your win condition just like you would pretty much any other Force of Will deck, and then you figure out, what ruler will best complement that. However, I went in saying, I want to play this combination, and so I have to figure out from there how to go in. So it's like, how do you build your decks right now with 2 rulers, singleton ruler, other rulers from other sets? How do you guys go about your deck build?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear have that. Any counters? First off, any counters? You're new. We haven't seen you here before. Welcome. These are great questions. We've really been I'm happy to answer these questions for you. First off, debating on making Snow White Bloody Snow White. That's a super fun ruler. It's very, very classic. We have deck profiles for it on the channel that are very, very old. But might be one that we maybe talk about in the future yearbook. But anyway, do I know why J rulers are so much more now? Like Dark Alice and Crimson Girl from the Sky, for example. Scarcity. Those are like sets from 5 years ago, so they haven't been printed in quite some time. Mostly bought up by collectors who then either won't let go of them or have sold their collections to then vendors who want to try to make their money back. So that's why.
And waifu tax.
And waifu tax. And waifu tax is very real for characters like Crimson Girl and Dark Alice. And y'all have a Force of Will Discord. You can join the Ruler School Discord. There's a link right down below. There's also a Force of Will official Discord that you can find. I don't have a link for that directly. I'm going to call on Matt Seymour or one of my other moderators in chat to get any counters a link to the official FOW Discord if you can help it. So there you go. And then played when it started, but it didn't pick off here, so sadly. Yeah, it's been a long time since it started. I've been playing since it started, so glad to have you come back. Gabe's great.
Yeah.
So just wanted to hit those real quick. To go back
we're doing a tournament in the Discord, right?
We have started it. We're in week 2 right now. We had 15 members sign up for the first ever Ruler School Locals. Which is an experiment that we're doing as a member-only tournament. You don't have to be a member to join the Discord. You do have to be a member to play in the tournament. Super casual. Think of it like literally an online locals. We play for a month. The top 3 get prizes. It's free for you to enter. You play 1 game a week. So that sounds like fun. We already had 15 people sign up for the first one. I'd love to get more people to sign up for the next one. The more people who sign up and join as members, the more prizing I can offer. So that's also great.
Hey.
So... Going up questions here real quick. Toshiki Kai Reverse, which 6 Sage deck is the best? That's still debatable by what you mean by the best.
That's not nearly solved yet.
There's
a lot of... I've seen some crazy stuff, but I don't think that's anywhere near definitive yet. I don't think we have a tier 0 anymore.
No, I was talking with someone earlier this week about, and I think this is one of the things that we'll kind of spin back around to our topic of is this this set has created a meta where I haven't been able to find a deck that I can't think of a sideboard answer to it. Does that make sense? I haven't been able to come up with a deck that I go, okay, cool. The answer to this deck is not something that I would normally main deck, but I could easily sideboard it. Right? And I haven't been able to see or play against or experience a deck where I can't answer that question effectively. And for me, that creates this kind of ever-evolving, ever-rotating meta, which is healthy because that promotes diversity, right? If everyone at my locals really wants to play my list flip Turbo Zero Burst OTK, I'm gonna just play hard discard, hard Bane control. Great. I'm gonna quick cast Bane control. That's what I'm gonna play. Right? And then if people are oh, well, we don't want to play that anymore. Now we want to play quick cast Bane control. Then I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go draw card value.deck. Or eternals.deck, right? I can always see the line of how to counter something with deck choice, which to me is great because the Rezard meta was play Rezard or bust, right? And I don't know if you guys have the same opinion. I'd be curious to hear what you guys have thought about it.
I mean, there's a clear everything seems to have a good counter to it now. Starting from this set, and even a little bit with EDL, there was a good counter to everything that you could do.
I think that's more or less accurate, especially with Grubalesta getting taken down a notch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that needed to happen. Kind of sad it did, but that did need to happen.
They don't see a tournament channel. Okay.
Jesse, did we assign you your membership within the Discord? That might be why. Just go to the Jesse, as a heads up, just go to the member role assignment tab in the Discord and remind me to give you the student role, and then we should be able to get you plugged into the next tournament next month for sure. Yeah, there you go.
What was the question?
The question was in your experience when you've been looking over cards, when you've been thinking about it, do you share the opinion or what's your thoughts on this idea of that it's creating a meta that's very cyclical and you can adapt to it. There's nothing that's be me or else. It always feels like this, like chasing. There's always something to chase, right?
Yeah, it's not a stagnant metagame by any imagination. I would say what's really going to be interesting to me is how singleton rulers like Celesta or Rezard come out in all of this. Like, are they going to be able to establish themselves in, you know, this very, honestly, very wide metagame with what, 22 rulers we said? Combinations?
There's 17. If you're playing
Yeah,
them as
you're never going to play singleton.
yeah, there's there's
so
17
17
different. There's 16 or 17 different dual ruler combinations.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm going to be very interested to see, like, can they stick their win condition on board and not have it killed off by any of these combination of rulers in their support? That's going to be the thing that I'm most interested in. Because right now, we know Rezard was the best deck going into this. Lilius was really good, but it's probably going to drop off because Almirius has the ability to just widen your life total so easily. And then her support gives you even more life. So maybe Lilius isn't going to be played anymore. Myla seems better. Celesta you can't interact with.
I've still seen people playing Lilius.
Okay.
But I will say that, like, my list feels like a natural choice if you want to go the burn route. I do think that Lilius probably is the way you go for the more, like, creature heavy aggro route. Because a lot of what I've seen from my list is like my list, burn spells, and then Elfina. Like, those are your creatures. Like, so like a creature list for me feels definitely more like it's Lilius based.
Okay, fair enough. People are saying in the chat that there is no Lilius dropping off.
Yeah.
And then there's other people saying that Lilius dropped off hard. So they're just as confused as I am. That's a good sign.
Hooray! One of the things that's really important for us to know before we go too much further into trying to, like, salvage, and is if the format is solved, is whether or not we can sideboard from singleton ruler into dual ruler. We're still waiting on company word on that as to whether or not that's going to be possible. There's technically a way that you can do it that, according to the current tournament construction rules and floor rules, you should be able to do. But we're waiting on, like, but these floor rules were written a while ago. So, like, is this accurate or not? So we'll have to see. There's a lot of crazy stuff.
Like, my guess is going to be no.
Yeah, my thought would be that too. But that would require we amend the floor rules.
Like, the ruler itself isn't part of the main deck.
Correct.
What makes me lead to the idea of no.
Correct, but
the general floor rules of having the same cards in the game.
This is the function. According
makes sense, but
since
it's not going to the same parts of the deck is where my brain kind of
according to the current floor rules, it just matters how many cards you take in versus how many cards you put out, or put in versus take out. So you could have, like, a 41 card main deck with a singleton ruler, and then take out a card from your main deck and your ruler and put in 2 tag rulers.
Right.
So, like, that's the, like, workaround right now, or vice versa, right? Or, like, take out both your rulers, put a card in your main deck, and put a card your singleton ruler in. But, like, we need to see if that's going to be amended or not. So I think that needs to be addressed. But to me, you know, when I talk about this idea of, like, singleton, to go back to Paul's point, like, Lilia certainly hasn't dropped off. She plays differently than my list wants to play. My list is certainly finding more of his, like, he's more of a J ruler focused kind of deck, or a tap burn kind of effect. Like, Lilius wants to flip and kill you. Like, Lilius wants to flip and kill you. And she definitely runs a lot more creatures to be able to make stuff like that happen, right? Like, you know, I think of Ground Splitter Rabbit, right? That's a card that Lilius wants to play hands down, that my list would probably feel awkward playing, right? Because, like, he doesn't want to waste his tap to burn Ground Splitter Rabbit. That would feel weird and limit some of his card choices. Whereas Lilius is just like, pay 0. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. They do things differently. I think you're right, Paul. Celesta. None of the tag rulers do anything similar to what Celesta wants to do with treasures. And I still think that treasures are great. Like,
yeah. She was a good investment.
Yeah, she's a good investment. Welser feels Welser feels outclassed because like he was designed to be the control ruler, and Feasting's just better as a control ruler because she can set up the control aspect of herself significantly faster than Welser can.
And Welser's really looking to ramp hard.
Yeah, and Feasting doesn't need to do that. Feasting doesn't need to. She's just like, I'm already in a controlling board state. I don't care. Ragnarok. I mean, we're not going to talk about Mikage because until Legends of Rebirth comes out and we see what they give Mikage to maybe try to salvage something, we don't talk about Mikage. But
he just won the Conqueror side of the OLS. Just saying.
Did he really?
You did. I was like,
okay, there you go. There you go, Toby.
It wasn't Mikage. It was the main deck that won. Let's just be real.
There you go.
Mikage was just there to watch.
He was just there to watch everything burn.
And then, I am.
And then I think Ragnarok got some fun tools. Like we talked about this before with Rag of the more cards that come out in this cluster, the better Rag gets because the more tools he has available to him. Toby, if you talk about the invasion from the demonic world, that 1-drop removal spells being a tier 0 card, I'm gonna kick you out of this chat. Like Mike did it last week on accident. I'll do it this week on purpose. Like but like to me, you know, when I think about the tag rulers and I think about the S1 rulers, like they want to do different things. And I don't think that for some of the S1 rulers, the things that they want to do can't compete with the things that the tag rulers want to do. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And as we continue on, like as soon as we get the first set of the next cluster, it'll be really apparent that these rulers can keep up.
Yeah, for sure. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we were talking about this before the show. That card's
canceled.
Hold on, put user in timeout. Will it let me? No, I'm not gonna do it. When I think about New Frontiers, I did. He's been timed out. There we go. I told you not to talk about the card, Toby.
Canceled.
You've been Welsered.
Got a chase to this.
Is that the next emote? Is actually we skip Lumia entirely and we go to Welser, old man Welser.
It's just Steven Holsheiser going, oh.
It's this idea that right now I think in New Frontiers the tag rulers are more capable of abusing Alice Origins than the Singleton rulers. I think that they're more capable of like unintentional interactions than because they're so open, like because they're designed to be so open that they have a much larger pool of things that they can like fit into their box, whereas like Celesta, like
she play treasures or choose a different ruler.
Yeah, like she was using the Angel package and like that was it. Like she couldn't really even make use of anything else. She was using like Cathedral into Angel of Healing, and that was it. And then Welser was using a lot of his own stuff. I mean, he was using the like Mikage ramp package. Sometimes, like some versions of the deck were doing that, but like not super effectively. Our martyr Toby, and then Lilius really didn't need a lot of stuff from Alice Origins. Like a lot of the good Red Rush stuff came with her, right? Except for like Last Secret Sword, but I wouldn't consider that like her abusing it. I'd be like, yeah, that's a finisher for Lilius, right? Whereas
I mean, you could just throw it in any deck and just use it as a finisher once you get close.
Exactly. So. Whereas like Almerius is like, yo, final stance. Like that's something that you're like, yeah, that's just something Almerius can do. Clearly, she wasn't designed with that in mind, but that's something that she can do, right? Same with defense stance, right? Like that's something that Almerius can just grab, especially when you combine her with like Thief Sting. Quick cast Almerius, grab a defense stance, cancel your deck, cancel your card. Like, huh? Me and Cal played last night, and I memed on him with some Wolfgang. Hard mulled all 3 games for the combo. Never showed up once. It's just not viable, like people think.
Yeah, it's Blackwings, man. It's Blackwings.
I think, yeah.
Right, and I don't think you really need to be going for the combo first turn anyway with Wolfgang. Like, it's hilarious if you can pull it off and take the win, but like, there's too easy of hard cancels for it that like you're playing with fire just by doing it.
Yeah. To me, it's this. I'll pose this question to Paul.
Sure.
Because he's, and I'd be more curious to hear your experience. Like, I'm gonna give you like an analogy, and I'll see if you would agree with this. Like, OG rulers. Oh no! Don't get me wrong, Steven. The Dark Celesta build was like amazing. I personally preferred that build 100%, but like that was primarily an Alice, like a Saga cluster build. That wasn't very Alice Origins. So back to my analogy, like
sure,
the Singleton rulers are like the Western Michigan University bus system, right? Like they take you.
It's such a specific analogy.
Yeah,
that it only makes sense to me.
Yeah, but like a university, like they're like a university bus system, right? Like it takes you where you want to go. Everything has its own thing. It's pretty clear which one you need to try to get on. And then I think of the 2 ruler system as like the Japanese train system. Like so many different possible decisions, so many different ways it can go, so many different ways to hit certain ways. Very easy to get on the wrong thing, as I have done personally several times. And can be very good, but also can screw you over if you do it wrong. Like, like
I'll say for me that's the Chicago train system.
Yeah, sure.
Because there are 2 different train systems in Chicago, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I would agree with that. I think that they were trying to give you a sense of like you're entering into this cluster. Here are some solid, powerful, except for Mikage, good rulers that if you can, figure out what your strategy is going to be, it'll synergize really well with the previous cluster, and it'll possibly synergize really well with the next cluster really well. However, because you're going to be looking toward, maybe not having dual stones, they're all contained within their color as well. So you can just play them with their own support. They're all very well self-contained. The previous cluster is just there to support you if you want it. Which I think is really good design. This set is definitely like, there's so much stuff you can do inside of this set that I don't even know if I need Alice Origins cards, frankly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I would agree with you that I don't think they need them, but I think the craziness that we're seeing from these 2 ruler decks has been when you pull Alice Origins cards into them, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
and they inherently go in that direction anyway, because you're incentivized to play Ataractia's Memoria. You're getting a 5-color stone. So in my opinion, it makes sense that we're seeing that. So I'm a little concerned about that personally. But
concerned? What do you mean?
I guess what I'm saying is we have a 5-color stone for these combinations of rulers.
Sure.
So you're going to be getting access to all these different kinds of combinations of cards. So it facilitates that, and that's a good thing. And you're going to kind of get these wombo combo stuff with AO, mostly just because you have all access to these different kinds of cards, just by virtue of having a 5-color stone. So the consistency is up. It reminds me a little bit of that flex point between Grim Cluster and Alice Cluster when we had the Moonshard Stone.
Oh yeah,
not the Moonshard Stone.
the Moonshade.
Moonshade. And we had Moonshade and we had Dual Stones, which felt like a lot. You could just literally do whatever you wanted in terms of stone combination and just get access to whatever you wanted. So that's the only little concern that I have.
Sure.
But,
so then I'm gonna take that concern, and I'm gonna throw a question to Red Mage about that. Is if that's the concern, if that's the the interactions, the ability to make kind of whatever card we want from Alice Origins fit into whatever kind of combinations, we get this wombo combo-ness. When we look at the future of the game, like cluster and into rotation, do you think that translates to 2 rulers will always be the best choice?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's really just going to be, while they're available, it's going to guarantee we have such a wide, diverse meta capability, unless somebody out there solves the meta and finds the absolute beast resistance end all combination.
I think the closest person who's gotten to that is Lars, and as soon as Gruce Ballesta got changed, he was immediately like, well, a bunch of different things. Like, I've seen Lars play a bunch of different things and talk about a bunch of different things.
Right. So I think, provided set design stays in this kind of fashion, where they really do balance each color against each other, so that everything has really good options to look at, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Like, when we get the next 5 rulers, they'll all, as long as they have good, flavorful things that are functional, not Mikage, then we'll just naturally see it continue.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's going to be a dud ruler here and there in the next couple of sets, but as long as we progress in this general direction that we're going now, which was my biggest worry when I Spy took over from when I was last playing, it was like, where are they going to take the game? Like, I really enjoy the game how it is. I hope they push it in the right direction.
Yeah, my feeling with this, as I've been playing, I've been trying to keep the builds for Foul Wednesday more geared towards cluster.
Right.
Although in terms of main deck cards, I will admit I love Dual Stones. I love my shiny Dual Stones. I want to use them for as long as I can, right? But like, I try to keep the main decks more towards cluster, because I feel like that's, for me, as a player who's not playing competitively and is just playing for content and enjoyment, like, that feels to me like I'm getting the truest, like, design intended experience of the cards. And having played since the beginning of the game, I can say that, like, in that space, in those games, it feels like Era 1 Vow. Or like,
yeah, I joined in when they released the Faria Melgis dual decks.
Yeah.
Like, my entry to the game was Vingolf 1 and 4 boxes of Farius and Melja.
Yeah. Matt, so Matt disagrees with us in the chat, which is totally fine. Matt, you need to report back to us in what it's been like for your experience in cluster. You've been my cluster reportee with not having dual stones and only having access to this. You know, it very well could be, but I agree with Naoki. I think that the top is very much up for grabs right now. And especially since next set probably won't have a lot of support for the tag mechanic, because it is just 5 rulers. That means that, like, again, we get to this point of look past rotation when they lose a 5-color stone, when they lose the dual stones, and these 2 ruler combinations don't just get to play whatever the hell they want.
Right.
Does just the nature of having 2 of them, when their support suite is only, their main support suite is only really truly 1 set, going to mean that they're going to sit at the top for 2 years? I think not. I think that the design space has been not. But we'll certainly have to see. And I think it's a conversation worth having and revisiting, like in the future, right?
Well, there's certainly going to be these new combination rulers in the top cut. That's almost guaranteed. I don't necessarily think that they are going to be like the deck to play. Like, we're not going into like a Reflect format or even a Scheherazade format with these rulers. I think they're powerful, but again, like, we have singleton rulers that are still very powerful on their own. We have the Celestas, right? We have I'm trying to think of another really good singleton ruler.
Ragnarok?
Murazuki. I mean, Ragnarok's pretty good too.
He's singleton in more than one way.
Yes, he is. Single rulers, not dateable.
Yeah, cluster right now is the 6 Sage of Stone. It's the best stone ever printed. I won't disagree that I think 6 Sage of Stone is probably second only to Moonshade. It's the best stone ever printed.
Say.
Because, and to go back to our talk about like how the train system can screw you over really easily if you make the wrong decision. I have won games by people messing up and leaving their 6 Sage of Stones in a position where they only tap for Void. Like, yep. I have won games where that has happened against Paul and against other people. Where like
I think the 6 Sage Stone is really good in 6 Sage builds. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know.
But even in 6 Sage builds, I think that like again, it's very easy to like. There's this high there's this like high floor for playing the 6 Sages. There's a high floor and a high pit and a really really deep pit where like if you mess up with a 6 Sage combination, like, bruh, you might have just cost yourself the game by just like giving your opponent an opportunity. Whereas like, I don't have to think about that if I'm Celesta. Like, explore. I would like to explore, please. I have called for stone. I would like to explore. That's it. That's the only thing I have to do. Like, do I tap feasting here in case I want to be able, or do I need to be able to cancel something? So I should call stone with the other one, but now that I don't have a tap effect, and like, woof, it's a lot. And I think for that reason, you know, if we see the next set of 5 be more what's the word I'm thinking of? Complete, like within their own set. Like the 6 Sages are now complete within their own set. And we have this next set of 5 rulers that will all be singleton rulers and have a very clear identity. Like, to me, it feels like we're gonna again continue this like chasing, right? This chasing meta where you're always able to kind of be one step ahead or one step behind, and you're always going to be able to make adaptations, which is great. I think that's very healthy. I will agree that burn feels like a lot right now, which is why it's good to have things like Almerius, which is why it would be very good for the idea of like, if we can do singleton into dual rulers, that would be really helpful because like singleton ruler decks can like play their singleton version or their singleton ruler, and then if they get paired up against a burn deck they don't know how to handle, you know, make a quick sideboard tweak and go into Almerius. But it definitely, it feels like we're still very much in this like chase the deck of the week kind of meta. Which I think is healthy, and the more rulers you add to that are more fleshed out, like the more fully fleshed out rulers or ideas you add into that environment, the healthier it becomes, because it becomes less predictable, and as such has a lot more versatility and viability to it. So that's my thought.
Trying to think of anything else to say to that.
I'm trying to just hit the chats.
Yeah. I think my initial comment was more of a concern of the fact that because we have a 6 Sage Stone that gives you access to more of the card pool, there could be some wombo combo-y crap that people discover, but that's my concern. But I'm also wondering how big that concern is at the end of the day. I don't know. Maybe for burn that's the biggest concern, but outside of that, I'm not really sure. I mean, again, I'm speculating a little bit. I haven't been deck building all that much with the new stuff. But I think that was the natural inclination that I had. 5 colors stone, being able to play Adiractes Memoria, super hyper consistency with your stone base. Kind of reminds me of the old days. So my red flag went up a little bit. Just a little bit, though.
Yeah. So, Matt, the stone itself requires a good pilot, and that rewards it. Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I would 100% agree.
Very high ceiling, or very high floor, very deep pit. For like, if you make a mistake, you're gonna fall a long way, and it takes a lot to be standing on stable ground with that stone.
And it hurts.
And it hurts when I'll speak to last Foul Wednesday. I was like looking at Paul's deck list, like as we got started, and I was like, playing 4 stones on the 6 stages, huh? He's like, yeah, I think it's great. Like, you might want to just play out of Raktia's Memorias, like just for more consistency. And he's like, yeah, but then I won't get white for the 2 copies of Schrodinger's that I'm playing in the deck. The only 2 white cards. And I'm like, I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do.
Okay, well, we could try it.
Proceed to game 1. Paul immediately was like, well, we're just gonna quickly swap these. So that's there. The amount of Matt Seymour, the amount of deck building. I'm assuming you're saying deck sideboard building, or just deck building for cluster right now is nuts. It's the most wide open game I've seen in years and years. That's good. That's a guy who's playing in cluster, and he's saying it's super wide open and diverse. That's a good thing.
Yes.
What card this set has been the most underdog card you were surprised with how good it actually was? Mine would have been the Spirit Ring edition. That card is bananas.
I mean,
surprising.
Maybe underrated is the word that we would use for
I've
this.
really been enjoying Windstone Shot.
Yeah.
That's a ramp card. It's absolutely a ramp card. In Feasting plus Gruus Ballesta, that stone is literally pay 1, ramp a stone, and I love it. Because you can pay a stone, sack it with Gruus Ballesta, use Feasting to produce a void, Windstone Shot your stone you just sacked to Gruus Ballesta back into play tapped. You're just like, great, I ramped. Like, ooh, quick cast ramp? Yes, please. I very much enjoyed that card. That card's been fun, and it's also removal if I need it to be, which is great.
Oh, I'm glad someone brought up the new Snow White. Soon, guys. Soon.
Yeah.
Instant Speed Gretel.
Yeah, Instant Speed Gretel. It's pretty dope. Turn 1 Windstone Shot. It's. You're talking about Cinderella? Matt Seymour, are you talking about Cinderella? Or are you talking about... I'm trying to figure out what... What about Welser with 40 infinite matchsticks? That is a meme, sir.
That is a meme.
Or Madam Rusty Spork. I can't assume who you are based on... That is a meme, Rusty. Don't play it.
Don't play the meme Spork.
Yeah, don't play the meme Spork.
It's illogical.
The Transformed, also a very cool card.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Seymour, my biggest concern for the meta is seeing a set of 100+ cards coming out with Yu-Gi-Oh! Levels of words, print another card, and then giving these massive game-changing cards in Ragnarok. So to me, with what I've seen in the cards that have come out with Ragnarok, there hasn't been anything to me that I go, oh, this replaces what Ragnarok wanted to be doing already.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been anything in this set that I go, oh, a new win condition for Ragnarok. Like, there are good cards that I'm like, yeah, Ragnarok will play this. Like, get rid of some of the chaff.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, to me, there hasn't been anything where I'm like, yeah, Ragnarok got a new win condition. Illusory Snow? I love that card. That card's great.
Ooh.
Ping something for... It's Demon Flame. It's great. Can it hit J-Rulers?
Abdul.
Can it hit J-Rulers? Can Illusory Snow hit J-Rulers?
It can.
And Mylist can hit J-Rulers, right? with his tap.
Wait, destroy target resonator that has the
Rip.
target of a successfully resolved ability.
Rip.
Of a
It combos really well with My List though, because it just
Yeah.
turns My List into a 1-drop removal spell, which is great.
I would say Abdul is surprising me. I didn't think Abdul would be that impactful, even with all of this stuff, because I just assumed there was so much removal he couldn't exist. But, well, last week proved me wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, 4 of this definitely.
Yeah.
It was super, super, super good.
Abdul's a fun card.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of cards. I was surprised. Not that I was surprised, because giving anything swiftness is bonkers. But the red spirit edition.
Oh, the cane?
No, not the cane.
Oh no, the other one.
The spring that gives all your spirit swiftness. You know what's really terrifying is swiftness? Elfina.
Oh, yeah.
The 10-2 that burns your opponent's board for 10 when it dies. That thing is terrifying with swiftness. I mean, like, sure, it has quick cast, so like that's kind of irrelevant, but also like sometimes your opponent sometimes you have a golem on board and your opponent's tapped out on their turn or on your turn, and then they go to their turn and then they're like, play Elfina, crash it into your Gruus Ballista, play a second Elfina, crash it into you. Like, oh. Well, my golem has failed at stopping the damage.
It died to removal.
Yeah, and untapping a red ruler by tapping it is like, okay, I guess I did. Yeah, that card's been great. There's just been so many fun cards. I'm very much looking forward to this build that I have for Paul to play against this week if we meet. Gruus Ballista Feasting, Bug, Magic Stones go brrr, the deck. I'm trying to kill him with stones. That's the game plan. I'm trying to kill him, but with stones.
I'll have to kill you quick then.
Yeah, yeah, but it's been so much fun. Like, even I think that losing has never felt more fun. It's been a while since losing felt this fun in FOW. Like,
oh yeah,
because the card interactions and the things that people are coming up with are so unique, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't think about that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm saying that a lot more. What did we, Paul? You and I said we're going to try to come up with a neat, figure out a way to bring our own little FOW neat into the environment.
Oh yeah, that old meme.
Because this is definitely a set where like I find myself going like, huh, cool.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know. What about you? What about you, Red Mage? You finding that similar experience?
I mean, I haven't played with the new set yet.
Oh.
As far as actually playing games with the new cards, I've been going through them and reading them and trying to figure out what I want to build first.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest hurdle so far. It's like,
right?
It's got into my face to the point where I'm just like, I have no idea what I want to build first. So I am going to go build Lilius, Celesta, and Oberzuki while I still think about this, because I know what I want to do with those.
Yeah.
It's like they have half of their deck built for me before I add the other half.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's my biggest concern. I'm like, where do I go? Like, what do I do? Do I go back to the old rulers with the new stuff, or do I stay with the new stuff? And
I mean, I threw Elfina into Lilius because that just seemed like a grotesque thing to add.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems great.
Yeah, why not?
Great.
Oh,
MSW creates ruler combinations where you don't know the type of deck from just seeing the ruler. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ooh.
very, very sure.
Ooh, that's.
I mean,
way of
like,
putting it.
there are some where it's like, yeah, okay, like I get it. Like my list plus 0 is like, yeah, okay. Like, we're trying to kick me in the face with my list. Like, that's what we're trying to do here. But like, there's so many different ways. I mean, like Gruus Ballista Feasting. Like, I saw someone play. Yotes Gaming did a video earlier this week. Was Gruus Ballista Feasting. And the guy was playing the like Rhea ramp combo kind of stuff, and it was like definitely more of an aggressive build. And I'm like, I'm playing Gruus Ballista Feasting where I'm trying to slow the game way down. Like, let's have a chill time, you know, like that. This and you would never know until we got into like turn 2, right? You wouldn't know what we were playing. It's it's crazy. I love it. I love it. I love it. With that point, so is 2 better than 1? Yes and no, and that answer will change based on your format and what comes out of the next set. So yes, but also not quite, because there are still things that singleton rulers want to do that dual rulers can't. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that the tag system is probably a one-off, because we only have 5 rulers for next set, and we've all seen all 5 of them already. In terms of like what their characters are. So I think it's going to be okay in the long run. That's the long and the short of it.
Oh, yeah.
But at that point, let's give a Judge Hanzo away. Yeah, 2 is better than 1 in most situations for now.
Yeah.
So we have a Judge Hanzo to give away. So here's your question. There's 32 people in here, so I should see 32 entries. Because I want to try to give the most chances to give this people to people that I want people to win stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hear your favorite ruler combination out of the 15 possible combinations. I will give you until 10 o'clock. You have 4 minutes to give me your answers right now. So, and if you are not in the US, I will pay to ship it to you wherever you are. So Matt, still give me your answers. So, give me your favorite dual ruler combination.
Mujdar Vitsing.
Mujdar Feasting for Paul.
Boom.
And I can't even find my keyboard. I'm trying to type behind my laptop's monitor.
Oh, that's interesting. That's one way to learn how to type, right?
I have not touch typed in years. It's showing.
Interesting. Zero feet sing. That feels familiar.
Personally, I really enjoyed. I like Gruus Ballista the most. I really am excited for either Gruus Ballista Mujdart or Gruus Ballista Feasting. We'll see which one I end up liking more. Or I might do a Gruus Ballista My List, like a hard discard, trying to like really abuse that first turn Void Will, first turn Fire Will, to like really lean into like a really expensive discard spell on turn 1. Maybe.
That took entirely too long to type.
Almiria's Mylus makes sense too. That would be an interesting list, Almiria's Mylus, because I would be wondering, what ruler they're going to try and use first. Are they going to try and beat me over the head with my list, or are they going to try and play something big and then resurrect it later? I don't know.
Okay, give me those. You got 2 minutes left. Give me those entries.
That's interesting. Swift Gullwing is spicy. That's hot. Oh, that's hot.
Oh. Oh.
That's
Gross.
Ooh.
Don't do that.
Swift Gullwing. Ooh.
Swift Gullwing. I gotta figure out what does Gullwing even do? I was like, oh, this looks like a cool card. Immediately puts it in a pile because it's a super.
It recovers all your spirits on enter.
Oh god.
And then it's a 15/15.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you can make it cheaper by tapping rulers and stuff.
Oh spirits. My god. Oh, I gotta read this card.
Quick casting an Eternal Gruus Ballista is cute. It's fun. Like I've done it. I blocked a 0 with it. It felt really good. And then I killed the 0. They were like, I feel really comfortable. The Zero has swiftness. And I was like, that's fine.
Oh my god.
Swing. Judgment Crucible has to block.
Yeah, golfing's disgusting. Oh my god. And it's a dragon?
Dragon. It's a spirit dragon.
Dragon support. Ooh.
Okay. The entries are now closed. Okay, Paul. I need a number between 5 and 11.
The best Final Fantasy is
6?
7.
You.
I had to go with the popular opinion. It's not 12. It's 12, by the way.
No.
I'm Bosch von Ronsenberg.
I'm gonna mute Paul. Okay,
Don't
so
believe Ondor's lies.
our winner tonight, even though they couldn't join us because their internet's out, is Naoki. Naoki joined us in the chat. Naoki, congratulations. Feast Screws blessed to easy. I agree. That's easy combination.
Ooh, tactics. Oh, that's true.
It's not 8. It's
The
certainly
best Final Fantasy.
it's
is
not
the
8.
first Final Fantasy.
It's not
For
8.
most people, yeah,
It's
that's
not
very
7. It's certainly not 12. It's 6.
It's definitely
true. So the best Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Oof. Okay, Naoki, congratulations. I will message you to get you. I will message you to get you your contact info, your shipping address, so we can get that Judge Hanzo mailed out to you. And a huge thanks to ccgprime.com for sponsoring this giveaway. They just recently passed, I think, 100,000 singles that they have available on their website, ranging from like all the way back. Toby, I will put you in timeout again. I will do it. I will do it.
Oh, man.
So, anyway, CCG Prime does have singles all the way back from, I believe, in Valhalla Cluster all the way up through now, for very affordable prices, so consider checking them out. They also have some pretty helpful things like a local starter kit where all you have to do is pay shipping and you get promos, promotional deck materials, and everything else. Starter decks, old boxes, all kinds of stuff. And we're actually working on, wow, people have been timed out by Steven. The other thing that they do offer is we're actually going to be working with a CCG Prime to look into the second FOW Festival coming later this year. An in-person, a possible in-person event hosted by Ruler School. So be safe. And then, I'm putting him in timeout. Anyway, go. I'll talk to him about it later. I'll talk with you about this later. Come see me in my office. So I lost my train of thought. That'll be it for us for tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. Red Mage, thank you so much for 1, being a member, and 2, joining us for the conversation tonight. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The chat, it's so great to have you guys here for us and interacting with us. If you enjoyed what we did here tonight and you want to consider supporting us financially, you can click that join button right down below the video and become a member yourself. It is the easiest way to support us directly. It is cheaper than a Twitch subscription and actually pays more than a Twitch subscription does. And so we're super grateful for anything you could do. It helps us purchase new lights, helps us purchase new cameras, all the things that we've been doing to try to make the channel better, including purchase the new streaming computer that we use for GPs and everything else. That's all mainly thanks to members. And it also gets you access to things like being able to participate in the Ruler School monthly locals, which we give away prizing for a free casual tournament setting every single month. So consider clicking that join button, and if not, just consider joining the Discord either way. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I have been joined by Paul Reisman.
Bye, Mike Rants.
Bye, Mike Rants, and Red Mage Gaming. And we'll see you all
Have a good night, everybody.
next week. So until then, class dismissed. Have a good night.
Class dismissed.